Let's have a look at this question. To graph any straight line, we only need to find 2 points. The easiest way to find a point is to pick an x value, substitute it into the equation given, and see what y value we get. Our equation is y equals negative 3x minus 7. Let's find the first point, where x equals 0. The question already gave us the x-coordinate, 0. Substitute 0 for x. Y equals negative 3 times 0 minus 7. We get y equals negative 7. So our first point is 0, negative 7. In math we call this the y-intercept, because it is where the line crosses the center vertical axis. Let's find the second point, where x equals 1. The question wants the point where the x-coordinate is 1. Substitute 1 for x. Y equals negative 3 times 1 minus 7. We get y equals negative 10. So our second point is 1, negative 10. Let's have a look at this coordinate plane question. We are given the equation y equals negative 3x plus 15. Part A. We are asked to find which 3 points from the coordinate plane belong to the given line. Let's look at our graph and write down the x, y coordinates for each point. Point A, 1, 4. Point B, 3, 6. Point C, 4, 3. Point D, 5, 0. Point E, 3, 2. The easiest way is to plug the x value into our equation and see if the y value matches. Point A, x equals 1, y equals negative 3 times 1 plus 15. So y equals 12. Looking at the given coordinates, 1, 4. Point A doesn't belongs to the given line. Point B, x equals 3, y equals negative 3 times 3 plus 15. So y equals 6. Looking at the given coordinates, 3, 6. Point B is on the line. Point C, x equals 4, y equals negative 3 times 4 plus 15. So y equals 3. Looking at the given coordinates, 4, 3. Point C belongs to the given line. Point D, x equals 5, y equals negative 3 times 5 plus 15. So y equals 0. Looking at the given coordinates, 5, 0. Point D belongs to the given line. Point E, x equals 3, y equals negative 3 times 3 plus 15. So y equals 6. Looking at the given coordinates, 3, 2. Point E doesn't belong to the given line. So the 3 points that belongs to the line, in alphabetical order, are B, C, and D, part B. Now the question asks if the point, negative 4, y, is on this same line. What is the value of y? Substitute x in the equation with negative 4. Y equals negative 3x plus 15. So y equals 27. Let's have a look at this coordinate plane question. We are given an equation for a line and some points, and we need to figure out which points actually fit on that line. We are given the equation y equals 4x minus 2. To find which points, x, y, are on the line, we just plug in the x-coordinate from the graph and see if the y matches. Let's check point A. 1, 2. X equals 1. Use the rule. Y equals 4 times 1 minus 2 is equal to 2. The graph says point A is at 1, 2. It matches. Point A is on the line. Let's check point B. 2, 6. X equals 2. Use the rule. Y equals 4 times 2 minus 2 is equal to 6. The graph says point B is at 2, 6. It matches. Point B is on the line. Let's check point C. 4, 5. X equals 4. Use the rule. Y equals 4 times 4 minus 2 is equal to 14. The graph says point C is at 4, 5. 14 is not equal to 5. Point C is not on the line. Let's check point D. 6, 7. X equals 6. Use the rule. Y equals 4 times 6 minus 2 is equal to 22. The graph says point D is at 6, 7. 22 is not equal to 7. Point D is not on the line. Let's check point E. 1.54. X equals 1.5. Use the rule. Y equals 4 times 1. 5 minus 2 is equal to 4. The graph says point E is at 1.54. It matches. Point E is on the line. Part B. Now the question asks, if a point has an x of 6, what is the y? Start with the equation y equals 4x minus 2. Replace x with 6. Y equals 4 times 6 minus 2. So y equals 22. Let's have a look at those graphs. Our goal is to see which graph matches the line mentioned below it. To find out, we are going to use the point test. Let's start with the first graph. The function of the line is y equals 4x. Let's pick a clear point from our graph and test it. As you can see, the question already have 2 points on each graph. Pick the easiest coordinate and test it. If both sides of the function are equal, then the function belongs to the graph. Let's pick the points 1, 2. Now replace the y with 2 and the x with 1. 2 is equal to 4 times 1. 2 is equal to 4. As you can see, this is false as 2 is not equal to 4. Therefore, this function does not belong to this graph. Moving to the next graph. The function of the line is y equals 4x. Let's pick a point to test, 1, 3. Replace the y with 3 and the x with 1. 3 is equal to 4 times 1. 3 is equal to 4. Again, 3 is not equal to 4. Therefore, this function also doesn't belong to this graph. How about the third function, y equals negative 2x? Let's pick the point, negative 1, 2 to test. 2 equals negative 2 times negative 1. 2 is equal to 2. Now this function belongs to the graph as both sides of the function are equal. How about the fourth function, y equals 4x plus 1? Let's test the point, 1, 1. 1 is equal to 4 times 1 plus 1. 1 is equal to 5. Obviously 1 is not equal to 5, therefore, the function doesn't belong to this graph. Moving to the fifth function, y equals 4x minus 1. Let's test the point, 1, 3. 3 is equal to 4 times 1 minus 1. 3 is equal to 3. This function belongs to the graph, as both sides of the function are equal. The last function we have is y equals negative 4x plus 1. Let's test the point, 0, negative 1. Negative 1 equals negative 4 times 0 plus 1. Negative 1 is equal to 1. The function doesn't belong to the graph as both sides are not equal. Ready for the next question? Let's go. Let's have a look at this question. When you are looking at a linear equation like y equals mx plus b, the fastest way to solve it is to check the y-intercept first to narrow things down, then check the slope. Line 1. Y equals negative 4x plus 3. The y-intercept b value is at 0, 3. Looking at the graph, the line crosses exactly at 0, 3. Now let's check the slope. The coordinates for the second point on the graph are 1, negative 1. So, negative 1 equals negative 4 times 1 plus 3. Negative 1 equals negative 1. Since both sides are equal, this equation belongs to this graph. Line 2. Y equals 4x plus 1. The y-intercept b value is at 0, 1. Looking at the graph, the line doesn't cross at 0, 1. Therefore, this equation doesn't belong to this graph. Line 3. Y equals 9x plus 1. The y-intercept b value is at 0, 1. Looking at the graph, the line crosses exactly at 0, 1. Now let's check the slope. The coordinates for the second point on the graph are negative 1, negative 1. So negative 1 is equal to 9 times negative 1 plus 1. Negative 1 equals negative 8. Since both sides are not equal, this equation doesn't belong to this graph. Line 4. Y equals negative x plus 1. The y-intercept b value is at 0, 1. Looking at the graph, the line crosses exactly at 0, 1. Now let's check the slope. The coordinates for the second point are negative 1, negative 1. So, negative 1 equals negative 1 plus 1. Negative 1 is equal to 2. Since both sides are not equal, this equation doesn't belong to this graph. Line 5. Y equals negative 5x minus 1. The y-intercept b value is at 0, -1. Looking at the graph, the line doesn't cross at 0, -1. Therefore this equation doesn't belong to this graph. Line 6, y equals -3x plus 2. The y-intercept b value is at 0, 2. Looking at the graph, the line crosses exactly at 0, 2. Now let's check the slope. The coordinates for the second point are 1, -1. So, -1 equals -3 times 1 plus 2. -1 equals -1. Since both sides are equal, this equation belongs to this graph. Let's have a look at this algebra question. We are looking at a relation, which is another way of saying a rule that connects two numbers, x and y. Our rule is y equals -5.5x. This means that to find y, you just multiply your x value by -5.5. For part A, in an ordered pair xy, the first number is always x value and the second is y value. To see if a pair fits the rule, we plug the x value into the equation and see if we get the correct y. Let's start with 0, 0. 0 equals -5.5 times 0. 0 equals 0. Both sides are equal, so yes. 0, 0 is a solution. Test coordinates -2, 11. 11 equals -5.5 times -2. 11 is equal to 11. Both sides are equal, so yes. -2, 11 is a solution. Test coordinates 1, 5.5. 5.5 equals -5.5 times 1. 5.5 is equal to -5.5. Both sides are not equal to each other, so the coordinate 1, 5.5 is not a solution. Test coordinates 2, 11. 11 equals -5.5 times 2. 11 equals -11. Both sides are not equal to each other, so the coordinate 2, 11 is not a solution. Test coordinates -1, 5.5. 5.5 equals -5.5 times -1. 5.5 is equal to 5.5. Both sides are equal, so the coordinate -1, 5.5 is a solution. Test the last coordinates, 3, 16.5. 16.5 equals -5.5 times 3. 16.5 equals -16.5. Both sides are not equal to each other, so the coordinate 3, 16.5 is not a solution. Moving to part B. The question asks if -4, p is a solution. What is p? Remember, in the coordinates -4, p, the -4 is our x value and p is our y value. Let's use our rule to find p. Y equals -5.5x. P equals -5.5 times -4. P equals 22. Ready for the next question? Let's go.